Is the Morakniv Garberg the king of all budget-friendly bushcraft blades? Or is it perhaps the king of all bushcraft blades? Stay tuned to find out. So what I have today is the Mora Garberg in carbon. And so I have been wanting to pick up this blade since my trip to Smoky Mountain Knife Works back in December. Once I held it, I knew I had to have the blade, considering that I have several Moras, and if you call yourself a Mora collector, you probably ought to have the Garberg in your collection. So there are many sheath options for this blade, and I went with the simple polymer sheath. There is a leather sheath option, there's a multi-mount sheath option, and there's a survival kit option. I had considered the survival kit option, but decided against it because I already carry a ferro rod and a field sharp sharpener, so I didn't see the need to spend the extra money on the survival kit. So I went with the polymer here, and so it's got a dangler, and I'll speak a little bit more on the sheath options once we take a look at the blade. So let's take a look at it. All right, so the Mora Garberg. There are two different choices of steels. I went with the carbon steel just because I prefer carbon over stainless for outdoor knives, namely because I live in a climate that is fairly dry. We get 4 seasons here, so yeah, and I take care of my blades. I keep them dry when stored and stuff like that, so it didn't concern me. I just like the performance of carbon over stainless steel, so that's why I went with that. So let's go with a few little specs here. The knife is a 9-inch long knife with a 4.3-inch blade with a 4-inch cutting. The 90-degree spine here, the thickness on the spine is 0.32 millimeters or 0.19 inches. And so yeah, got a polymer handle there, nothing special there. And I'll get to this right here is a little bit of a con for me, but it's the only con. So you can see the full tang comes out here with a sharp spine on the back of the tang as well. I added this bright lanyard. It's a slip lanyard, so I can, so if I'm doing some chopping task, I have that extra security there. But namely, I added the colorful lanyard just to have a better vision on the knife if I laid it down and couldn't find it. So yeah, all right, so we're going to spend some time out here, and we're going to test it out on some options here. So let's go for it. So I got the blade a few days ago, and I purposely haven't used it so we can see how sharp it is out the box. So we got a little bit of paper here. Pretty good there. Such a heavy duty knife. Yeah, so I give it a pretty high rating on batoning there. It's not as thick as, say, an SE5. Actually, it's half as thick as that. But because of the Scandi grind, it still does a really good job at batoning small pieces of wood. So, yeah, let's check out some curls. See how we do. Yeah, this knife was made for this. So definitely all types of bushcraft needs. So far, batoning pretty high level. Feather sticks pretty high level. So funny story, I had this fire ready and I lit it. And guess what was not turned on? The camera. So we've got to demonstrate how well the Garberg throws sparks. We're gonna give it another go. Not using any fat wood today, just lighting curls and birch particles. So I want you guys to see how well the Garberg throws sparks. So, there we go. I had always heard that this knife was pretty superior at throwing sparks, and now I know it to be true. All right, let's see what we can do with notches. I found that making notches has become so useful, especially with like hanging a tarp or a tent. Tons of uses, but yeah, the Garberg had no issues whatsoever making a stop notch. So, yep, good to go. All right. Figured I'd wait for a food prep test to ton some wood, curl some wood, make notches, chop a little bit, and then see where we were at as far as cutting. Now, this is a thicker blade than a lot of my other bushcraft knives. So we've talked about this many times before. It's not going to be the ideal blade, but as you can see, still very capable and still very sharp. If you notice, the Garberg has an interesting blade shape. It's skinnier down here than it is in the belly. It kind of swoops down just a hair and there's more thickness. So I'm guessing that's to allow for a little bit better food prep. But yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. All right, let's take a minute to talk about something that I really appreciate Mora doing. So, as you can see, we've been testing the Garberg here. We've tested the Eldris several times, and I've used it for a year now, so it's a solid little knife. But this is the first day of the Garberg testing, so I knew I'd love it. One thing I wanted to show you guys that I appreciate Mora doing is the dangler. So they've made the Garberg, Eldris, and Cansbowl to all fit the dangler. So the only options I had with the Eldris was net carry or throwing a pack, where they've made this dangler to fit all those knives. So there's another option carry for the Eldris. I plan to get the Cansbowl at some point, and so yeah, just more options there. So and something else, I do like carrying leather sheaths. So I played around with several of mine that I have, and come to find out, the Garberg fits in this Hella sheath perfectly. It's all the way down to the tip. It's you know, there's no chance of it slipping out or whatever. So if I do want to carry a leather sheath, I'm glad I didn't buy one, because this one works perfect. Black on brown, probably not the most eye-pleasing thing in the world, but function. Just to give some reference here, I've been using this companion for over 2 years now. And so just to give you a little bit of a comparison in size and stuff, you can tell that, well, for one, the Garberg is full tang, the companion is not. The blade profile is different. It's a little bit more belly, it's a thicker blade. It's just a more robust blade altogether. My final thoughts on the Garberg: I'm happy I bought it. All the pros in the world, we can go on for days about how this knife can perform, but let's talk about the one con. And if you do any research on this knife, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So on the Mora Eldris and Cansball, the scales, the handle, it's grippier. So there's more of a rubberized feeling on this outer part, the top and bottom, and it feels really good and sturdy in your hand. It's not going to slide at all. The Garberg, on the other hand, and the only con with this knife is, and I suppose they did this to reduce the price, is that it's not that way. So it's all hard polymer. It has a good grip. I don't think it's going to slip out of my hands. It's not slick plastic, but it's not a rubberized plastic. So yeah, if the Garberg had one con, that's it. There he goes. And so overall, super pleased. I won't go on and on about how I feel about this knife, but the last thing I'll add, the affordability of this knife may be its greatest asset. Because I didn't get any other type of sheath attachment or leather sheath or multi-mount, I got the knife for $66. So for $66, I don't think there's a better option out there. So with all that said, I leave you with peace. Have a great day.